Dynamic banter. Mike and Steve are gonna do bits and have some fun. Dynamic banter. Honking horns and ringing bells and making good. Dynamic banter. Don't forget the history road on Dynamic banter.
Even when we used to be in the same room together, hey guys, welcome to the show. When we used to be in the same room together, and sometimes remember that look I'd have on my face when I realized that we weren't recording. I'll tell you that look that I gave you is equal parts shame and fear of how you'll react.
Dude, you act like I haven't made those mistakes 1,000 times.
I know. But you know, dude, like, you don't ask for much, and we don't ask for much of each other, really. And one of the simplest things to make this show work is to record it.
Dude, I've been reading through the comments and the Reddit specifically, and it seems like one of the things that people enjoy most about this show specifically is that it's recorded.
Yeah. Remember when we won that award?
No, not really.
We won an award like a really long time ago, and we had like we made an acceptance speech.
Did we really?
Yeah, I went to your house and we shot a really or you came to mine. Or
did they ever mail us anything or anything?
Well, I think no, but like
it doesn't exist.
And also they were and also like when you like submitted your podcast, they were like, and please deposit a fee of like $10 to cover the cost of an award if you win it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of you know this, but a lot of awards, like actual awards that you can like keep on your shelves and stuff, like they don't give you those a lot of the times. Right, they go like yeah, there's a prop, and then they go like, all right, thank you, and then they go, if you want one, it's $250.
Yeah. And that's a good Steve, you bring up a great point. If you ever want to get $10 out of us for any reason, just tell us that we've won something.
Yeah.
That's a guaranteed $20.
But anyway, so the point I was making was, I submitted us because I think someone mentioned it to me or something. I can't remember. Or someone was like, you've been nominated or something. So I'm pretty sure I paid something. And then I got an email that said we won. And then they were like, you need to make no. They were like, you need to make an acceptance speech video for if you win. Because it was all going to be broadcast remotely. Like they weren't going to fly anybody to the podcast awards or whatever. Unless you're Joe Rogan.
That video, just make sure you're holding up a $10 bill so we know that you have it.
So we know you're good for it. Yeah. So you and I did a thing, dude, where we both stood on camera, and it was kind of like remember when we did the thing where we listened to the episode where we talked about laughing in church? Yeah. So it was like that, and it was you and I looking in the camera and going like, hey, thanks for the award. That's awesome. We can't believe it. What does this mean? I don't know. Nothing. And then nothing. And then anyway, that's what that was. But the reason why I brought it up is because the reason why we won that award, Mike, is because we won most recorded podcast.
Not in a million years would I have ever thought that was going to end like that. And what a perfect start to what will be our most recorded podcast ever about the Beatles.
Please welcome Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the most recorded episode of Dynamic Banter about the Beatles.
Could we say something real quick? Just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
I just want to say, because I don't want to breeze by it, that yesterday was one of the weirdest, most shameful days that I've ever seen in American history in our lifetime. You know?
Oh yeah.
And I have all these feelings, as I'm sure you do as well.
Oh yeah.
and 2020 has created a weird space, and I saw someone just echo this on Twitter recently. It's created a weird limbo space where, like, you can't even out how you might think, because you can't really go see your friends because we're all not even supposed to see each other, which compounds everything, you know? And I was talking to my mom about it, and I woke up with all this like sadness and anger, and my mom was just like, don't let anyone else take your happiness away. And recognizing the responsibility that we talk about at the end of every one of these goddamn recent Zoom episodes is that we're so happy to be able to be happiness for you to look forward to, at least for 1 hour out of the week. And I've been so excited to do this goddamn Beatles episode with you specifically that I refuse to let anyone interrupt anything else.
This is a Proud Boy free zone. No Proud Boys allowed.
4 British boys only. Everyone else is at the door. And there's tight security.
Yeah. Only Fab Boys allowed.
But I don't know if you want to say anything, but I just want to say that I appreciate you very much, because you're a bringer of joy, and I appreciate anyone who contributes to the bringing of joy into this weird fucking world that we live in.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, and I appreciate you, and obviously I feel the same way. I mean, man, yesterday was just like bonkers. It's just like fucking bonkers and scary and sad and embarrassing and distressing and so many of those things for us here in the US. And I was just, it hit me kind of hard, and I was like, I got to get off the internet for a second. And I went outside and I started writing in a journal, and I feel really excited about that. And I don't know what my plan is, but I just was like, I need to fully disconnect right now. And I feel like the most analog thing I could do is sit outside and write on a piece of paper.
Yeah. I got a journal for you if you want it.
Dude, I want it. Mike, I don't know if you guys know this, but Mike has made these journals that he was like, he's giving to his comedian friends for ideas and thoughts and things, because you're a big boy.
Mike has given out these notebooks because he's tall, and you guys know that. He's a big boy
because he's an adult. He made these books because he's an adult, and you know that. He's a big boy.
I keep my license in every single one of these books.
No, I mean, you're a big you stand fuck. The hill you die on is write down everything. Like,
yeah, I like writing stuff down.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful of you to be giving and do that for your friends without anybody asking you to, and it's a sweet thing. And I think that's awesome. I
woke up and with the new year, and I was like, no one. Yesterday was a pretty good example. I feel like most people are getting kind of jaded to the point where they're like, nothing good happens.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why not? What if just a very little good thing could happen? Then it might keep hope alive for more good things to happen.
Yeah.
But today's not about that either.
No.
Today's about 4 boys.
But here's what I want to say in kind of closing of this.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was talking about you and your project that you were working on that I think's awesome. And I definitely want one of those books, please, because I think that will help in furthering my pursuit of this analog way of analyzing my life, I guess. I don't know what it is, but I needed to feel better, and I wanted, and I, Alana's not here, so I'm like alone in the house, and I know a lot of people are alone for this, so you understand that. And I was like, man, I need to just fucking disconnect. So I went outside and I disconnected, and then I like wrote and felt so good, and then like did a bunch of work, and then jumped online with my friends and played video games like we've been doing every single night as a therapy session, as a hangout session, as a social fucking thing. And you know, you were there, and a lot of our friends were there, and I just remember being like casually playing this fucking video game with my friends, laughing and shit after all the shit that happened, and going like, man, did you guys just like have you guys stopped to really think about the images of those guys like sitting in the seats in like one of the most like, you know, important buildings in our country
While one of the most important things was happening.
Yeah. And it's just so fucking bonkers for us. Like, just quickly imagine if you're not from the US and it's not affecting you in that way, in the way that it's affecting us. Think about like seeing total asshole idiots just like fucking around in some like important building in your country.
Dude, and
Like-
I remember like field trips as a little kid or family trips once in a while to Washington DC, because that it wasn't
Yeah.
that far from where I grew up. And I got the feeling, based on like any history class or social studies or whatever, I got the feeling that walking around like the government center and that whole like sacred ground area, and you see, you know, monuments to every world war, every conflict we've ever been in. And you just get the feeling that it's like this sacred ground and you're always being watched, and you don't
Yeah.
want to like put gum on anything or whatever, because you'd be out.
Or you just want to be respectful too, I guess, because it is
Yeah,
like an
I
important
just meant to
place.
say like I felt like it was a way more secure
Yeah.
place. That's the idea that you
Yeah.
have growing up.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean,
I
yeah.
think it can be when they want it to be.
Yeah,
you
and that's
know?
that's the big kind of scary thing too, which is like, I mean, this isn't news to a lot of us who have been, you know, delved into this world of trying to navigate the insanity of our politics and our human rights and in the United States. And it's just interesting when you're like, man, everyone can see now that like this is not good. This is not okay. And people literally wearing t-shirts that said in like how many people, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting how many, it's like 8 million Jews died in the Holocaust or something. And they're wearing shirts that say it should have been more than that. And they're wearing shirts that say like, just super pro hate like imagery, and they're just like screaming with like bile coming out of their mouths and shit, and they're just these like monsters that are and the whole world is looking at it, and as an American citizen, I'm like, look, I may not love this country as much as some people do, but I don't want that. Like, I don't want
No one
that.
wants that, man.
No one wants that. Like, does anybody want that? Do people who voted for Trump want that? Like,
This is why I started to
screaming
get, like,
brutes in our like
Yeah.
historical important. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
started
Whatever.
to get really sad because I was like, people are clearly missing something that they're getting from a very paper thin, paper tiger place. And I wish
Yes.
that those people didn't need that from that source. And I truly like, I want better from them, and I want them to want better. But I can't, it all goes back to like, I can't control anyone. You can't control anyone.
Right.
We can only
Right.
influence the life around us.
Right.
And that's what we've been doing.
It's
and
just-
that,
it's hard. Yeah. Yes. It's just, it's hard. It's hard to consider a coexistence with people who believe as strongly as we do in good, in what is best for the common people, in whatever ways we possibly can, in our simple ways. And there's people who feel that strongly about the opposite end of that, and we're coexisting with those people in this country, in this world. And it's just like, well, I don't think this is going to stop it. This incident that happened, this dangerous, terrible thing, this terrorist attack from our own fucking citizens, I don't think it's going to change anything. I think it's just going to hopefully make people who want the right things to happen, and hopefully people who want the most possible people to be happy and live well and achieve their dreams will work even harder, than they would have had this not happened. And also we have to look at this as some positive release of pressure on the country that was needed in a big way, for people who don't see to see, and for I don't know, we gotta bring the good out of it. And I think that, in spending time with my friends and in making things that are largely based in comedy and watching movies and doing things that I enjoy, I am finding that those are the important things, on top of obviously doing what you can to help in the bigger way. But not I can't sit on the internet all day and be like, how worse is the world getting? My job is to be happy and live a full life and to give that to everyone that I love. That's my job. That's what I want. And so all this other shit is just I gotta push it away. So I took a big break, and then I played video games with my friends, and I freaked out about how crazy the imagery was. And then I went to bed and woke up and was like, I want to do a fucking fun podcast with my friend Mike Falzone where we talk about the motherfucking Beatles, because what else are we gonna do? Cry under the goddamn blankets all day?
Not because of that.
No!
Hey Jude, what are we just saying? Hey Jude from start to finish.
Let's just sing Imagine, Mike, together, you and me.
That doesn't work.
We'll take one. You take one verse, I'll take the other verse.
Let's all desaturate our images from our webcams and sing Imagine on 2, 3.
Wait, let's get I pulled up some Beatles sounding music that isn't the Beatles.
Are we going to do that thing where we play music throughout the entire episode, but
no
one's going to be able to hear it?
No. But I want to do hey guys, welcome to this.
What sound is that? How do they get that sound?
It's an electronic drum set.
A lot of people recognize that classic Beatles twang from the electronic drum set that Ringo was
Robot Ringo would play on. But guys, so it's no secret that Mike and I are big Beatles fans, and it's certainly no secret that we talk endlessly about the Beatles at times. But recently, that Peter Jackson's Beatles documentary with unseen footage is coming soon, and they released a trailer, and Mike and I freaked the fuck out about it, and it kickstarted this kind of every couple of months I get a Beatle mania. I don't know about you, Mike. Ever since I was a kid, Mike.
Yeah. yes.
Right, Mike?
Yes, me too.
Beatles was just in the house. My parents had records and listened to them all the time. I have memories embedded in my brain of my dad singing Yellow Submarine and my mom singing Here Comes the Sun and, all that stuff. So great, happy memories. And so I've always loved the Beatles. Maybe I take a break sometimes. And when I had my emo rebellious teen years, I kind of went into the new wave stuff and emo things, but I always came back to the Beatles. And so Mike and I were Mike actually had the idea for us to do let's just dive into the Beatles for a few episodes. We'll do special episodes where we just talk about the Beatles.
I listen to so many podcasts where it's people who they're more specific niche about specific things, and I love hearing people talk about shit that they love.
Totally.
It's very awesome. Even
Totally.
those, that show where they make bids on the storage devices.
That's the one. Yeah.
Sometimes they'll get a piece of memorabilia in there that makes them real horny as fuck. And I love hearing them talk about that. And, both of us have good childhood memories with the Beatles, dude.
Yeah.
I had an uncle who played Paul McCartney in a Beatles like tribute band. And that was one of my first concerts. And the Beatles love song album, it was just like a compilation 2-record set of Beatles love songs, was always in my house. And I found it just by rummaging through shit as I found everyone else, James Taylor, Carly Simon, Chicago, all that shit.
Right.
And just fell in love with them. And then like my music teacher in high school was cool enough to do like a whole section on the Beatles.
Oh, shit. That's fucking
it was
cool.
middle school, like 7th or 8th grade. And she's the one who taught us about like all the hidden imagery and the album covers in the later years and stuff like that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
And so it's just always like made us happy for a long time. The Beatles have influenced every one of our favorite bands.
Everyone.
Forever.
Bands, artists, filmmakers, and everybody.
So it almost feels like if we were going to do a specific podcast about Cloverfield, we have to do one about the Beatles.
So we're announcing our new podcast. Dynamic Banter is going away, and we're doing a new podcast called
Dynamic Beetle.
Beetle Boys.
Hey, look now, they're superheroes armed with superpowers. Taken from a comic strip, and now they're Beetle Boys. Big Bang Beetle Boys.
Welcome back to episode 1 of Beetle Boys. I think you'll find that every other episode of this podcast, Dynamic Banter, has been erased to history.
Yeah, if you didn't save them in some way, they're gone forever. Here we go. The worst personal sabotage you could ever do.
How much do you know specifically about the origin, like 1961-60 origin of the Beatles?
I mean, I know kind of like the abridged, kind of like, couple of sentences. Like I've seen like so many Beatles documentaries, and I've read so much about the Beatles that I feel like more or less I know that it was first John and Paul.
Yeah. I mean, specifically, it was John first.
Yeah.
And he had this group called the Quarrymen, right? Which was a skiffle group.
Yeah.
Do you know about skiffle?
No, tell me, please.
Dude, skiffle it's obviously derived from African-American music and this New Orleans blend of like jazz and folk and American influences. And it was basically like the bridge from like jazz and blues and all that stuff to rock and roll. And it became ridiculously popular in England and here as well.
And that was like Elvis. Was Elvis doing stuff like that, kind of? Or?
Elvis was the first person to take it, probably.
And
like
make
people
it
like
popular.
Jimmy Page started in a skiffle band. Leadbelly is a good example of somebody who played skiffle music. African American musician who, one of the people who made that really popular. And then it was kind of like the first punk music. Like when white kids heard skiffle, that was like I don't have to listen to just this type of a music or whatever. Like I could play skiffle, and that could be like, a lot of times it was like combinations of like electric guitar or like an electrified acoustic guitar and like homemade instruments like a jug or like a washboard. There's usually someone in a skiffle band going,
and the guy going,
and they're all getting the same amount of girls, I bet. There's a guy playing the guitar as hard and as fast as he can.
And the
in
washboard guy is like,
and then there's the washboard guy who doesn't have like notes to play, so he's making contact with all the girls, and he's like,
yeah.
I can wash your clothes. Come to my house and wash your panties.
I can do this on your ribs and your spine. Skakadoot, skakadoot, skakadoot.
Skakadoo. Wearing a t-shirt underneath a pair of overalls that said Skakadoo. So basically, you're 100% right. It was John, and then John was made aware of Paul as being like an unbelievable guitar player. He came into the Quarrymen as a guitar player. Paul brought George. The bass player fucked off, so Paul switched over to bass. George was obviously a great guitar player. I don't know if George brought Ringo, but all of them seem to be aware of Ringo as like one of the best drummers in town. He played with all the best bands.
Well, they played with this other guy, right? For a while? Pete Best. That's right.
All about Pete Best. So, dude, Ringo didn't start filling in. They would play with the Quarrymen all over England. And then the big thing was because all these other European countries are so close, they would go to Germany and especially like Hamburg, right? So that was like the big thing. Like if you're a band from Connecticut, you go to New York City,
right.
And you play in the big city for more opportunity. Basically, you would get good where you're at and then go to like Hamburg and stuff. And they would play in the red light district. So if you can imagine like a fucking 18 or 17, whatever they were, John Lennon, hey, tapping on the glass and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness! I wonder if they grew up real fast doing that. I mean, you grow up real fast playing with the boys and touring around.
You're in a band and you're playing in the red light district. It's like you go to the girls that you want to come to the show.
So in a way, they were kind of like almost like preparing themselves for the like onslaught of like, women and people that would throw themselves at them in this like weird world of like being worshipped as kings and shit.
Well, we know we want girls. 90% of our songs will be about girls.
I try to like, whenever I look at footage of the Beatles in their really early days and they're like, I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit. Like, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like, I know that they were basically covering songs for like a really long time. They were like doing covers.
Yeah. Well, there were songs that like any new band does covers, that there are songs that the audience will hear and, based on how they already feel about them, it endears you to the crowd and it's something that's guaranteed to make people dance. But they were writing songs together from like a very early age.
But most of their shows were comprised of like cover songs, and then they'd throw in some of their originals and stuff.
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Yeah,
but
at the very beginning.
I mean, this is the early 60s, and they're world renowned by 62, 63.
Yeah.
So they've been working on like I Want to Hold Your Hand and everything for years before anyone heard it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. They were workshopping it.
So
they were holding hands. They were in the street going like, "Let me hold your hand really quick."
They were just walking around.
Yeah, they're trying.
Paul was like looking for things to hold on to.
Yeah. They workshopped.
Like, I want to hold the stove. No, too hot.
I want to hold the bird. Oh, there it goes.
John, let me see. And then once Paul was able to hold John's hand, they came up with...
Hold on a second, fellas. We're going about this all wrong. John, give me your hand.
I want to hold a locomotive. No, that's not going to work.
What about I want to hold a sword?
Pretty good, Ringo. Pretty good. And George is like, I want to hold a cigarette. And that was a bit of brevity. Everyone kind of laughs.
Dude, I saw a man, and we could talk about this at some point too, but I go to the subreddit, the Beatles subreddit, and there's like wacko boys and girls in there. There's some wacko folks. And there's some really fun stuff too, though. I really love it. Most of the time it's just like, here's a photo of George from, this thing, and here's a photo of them, all the boys, and here's John looking great, and it's just all really cool stuff like that. But every once in a while you'll get stuff like, here's a letter that John wrote to his first wife, like before they were married. And it's like crazy to read that, because it's like, this is someone's personal thoughts.
Yeah.
And
I met one of those ladies at a convention once.
no shit.
Like Cynthia Lennon, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how many wives this dude
I know.
had, 'cause he was not super great at being in relationships.
No.
Probably all the red light girls.
And the Siggies. But no, he wrote this like letter, and it's like, pretty interesting. It's in its early days too. Like it's like obviously touring and stuff, but I can't remember the year exactly. But it's so interesting to like when you see the history of the Beatles and you see them doing the like touring around in London and Germany and all of that. And then you see that like their song hit #1 on the Top of the Pops or whatever, or the Hit Parade or whatever. And then it was like, oh, well, now it's like bleeding outside of the UK, and now you guys have to go to the US and promote this thing. And then the second they get there, they're like superstars already.
We're getting so far ahead of ourselves.
Right. But it's just so interesting how like it happens so fucking fast.
Yeah, it did seem to happen pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then once they were on that, it's, you see by the end of this, and by the end of this documentary, the Ron Howard documentary, that really just covers the touring years. That's what it was about. It's called 8 Days a Week, the touring years. And it's like, especially once they got here, before they got here for sure, but especially once they got here, it was nonstop until like Rubber Soul came out.
Right.
Nonstop touring.
Right.
At all time, and it got bigger and bigger, and it's like they didn't go backwards at all. It only got bigger, and then it became unbearable. So that's kind of like the first 6 years of the Beatles.
Yeah, and all the while, like, they're royalty, and they can't do anything. Like, you can't, like, imagine being like like the most popular thing that exists, and then you're like a young kid, and then you're like, I can't do anything, and then you do that for years and years and years and years. It's like, yeah, of course that's gonna
But before
end.
that, they're just like good-looking guys playing skiffle in the red light district, right?
Right. Holding hands.
So they got this drummer, this Pete Best guy.
Yeah.
And Pete Best, you never hear too much from him throughout the years, because he's like the Beatle that blew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just knew that. I just knew, like, growing up, like, sucks to be Pete Best. Really? So, I found out more about like why he was. No, man, I found out why he was kicked out of well, he was the drummer for the Quarrymen, I think, for the Silver Beatles before they became the Beatles.
Yeah.
But he was very good looking. And they replaced him when he went missing in Hamburg. So they went over to Hamburg and they straight up just couldn't find him. So they were like, Ringo, you're like the best drummer around. Can you fill in? Like, Ringo learned the songs real quick. Obviously not that difficult. And he came in and he was the drummer here on out. But I found an interview with John where he talks about Pete Best and kicking him out of the band. And I had never heard anything like this before. Can I read you this?
Yeah,
quote from
please.
John? So John goes, this is an interview from like early 70s.
Okay.
He goes, by the time they kicked him out, he goes, by then we were pretty sick of Pete Best too, because he was a lousy drummer. He just never improved,
He just never improved,
Should I do it with the voice, or should I just do it for clarity?
Do it with the voice.
He just never improved, There was this myth being built up over the years that he was great, and Paul was jealous because he was pretty and all that crap, The only way he got into the band in the first place was to get to Hamburg. We needed to have a drummer. We knew of this guy. He had been living in his mother's house. Then it had a club in it or whatever, and he had a drum kit, and he could keep one beat going for long enough. So we took him to Germany.
Damn.
We were always going to dump him once we could find a decent drummer. By the time we got back to Germany, he trained. By the time we got back from Germany, we had trained him to keep a stick going up and down for long enough. 4 in the bar. And he couldn't really do much else. He just looked nice for the girls. And I think anyone who has a band who wants to start it at a younger age, like when you're in high school or when you just straight up don't know that many people, but you want to meet chicks and you want to be in a band, you throw that person the bass or you throw them on keys or something like that. And you're like, you're not talented, but you're the one with the van.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't get to Pennsylvania unless we have a band.
Right. And you might be holding us back in a lot of ways. And you might be the actual reason why we'll never make it. But you have a van.
Yes. Actually, that's what the truth is.
Yeah, dude. I know.
And then it's sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a great lesson in like, you got to show up. Like, no matter how well if you're lucky enough to have kind of a creative gig going and you're just in the part where like you put it in neutral because you're like, here we go, I'm the drummer.
Right.
This band is traveling all around. And then you like slack off and you start showing up late to gigs and stuff. If that group of people wants to excel past the place that you're currently at, you're out.
Right.
If you don't contribute to the moving forward process.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I love that John is just like fucking beating the hell out of this guy.
He was probably
this
so
motherfucker
sick of
can
like,
barely make a beat.
Dude, you think about how popular the Beatles got and all your like, imagine if we were popular like Joe Rogan, just me and you.
Yeah.
And then we stopped. Well, that's not a great, because that would be like a Lennon McCartney split. Let's say we blew up Joe Rogan and immediately got rid of Ryan.
Okay.
People would be like, oh, I heard Mike was jealous of Ryan because he was better looking. And you hear that from years, and it has nothing to do with that. You hear it for years and years, and you hear it, but you knew that like Ryan was doing bad or something. You're eventually going to be like, Ryan was doing a bad job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not because... all the sensationalized...
all right. I guess that's true. And especially when everybody wants to know every little thing about the Beatles. And especially something as interesting as, did you know there was another drummer before Ringo? And then you're like, ooh, what's the story? And I love that John was basically just like, well, fuck it. I mean, this is the truth. The guy couldn't keep a beat and he was good looking. What else do you want? Dude, Ringo is like
found somebody
a
who can
great
keep
fucking
great time
drummer.
who is terrible looking.
Dude, I love how like girls loved Ringo. It makes me so happy because he is like a strange looking guy, and especially back then,
it's like everyone who gets crazy amounts of plastic surgery, all the beautiful people who get crazy amounts of plastic surgery, at the end of the day, they kind of all look like the same person. You like a little uniqueness every now and again.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
yeah, and I'm not knocking it at all.
Nose. Think about how much air he has in his lungs.
That's what keep me rings.
Keep me rings.
Dude, I thought Pete Best like came back for one show because Ringo was sick.
I mean, that's a very good possibility. I'm sure there was some kind of a transition period.
My friend
I bet
Devin,
he sucked during that show.
Because my friend Devin had a Beatles poster, and it had like all the Beatles on it, except it had Pete Best. It had drummer Pete Best. And I think
they could have taken pictures.
Well, but the story behind it, but it was like a poster for the show. Like, come to this show, and the drummer will be Pete Best. And I think the story behind it was that was a show where Ringo was, like, sick, and they needed someone to, like, fill in or whatever. But I guess I could be mixing it up with the Pete was sick, and Ringo came in, and then Ringo was like, fuck, and then they were like, fuck yeah, with Ringo.
Yeah, I mean, the way they talk about it in this documentary, it's like he kind of went missing. And I took it to mean like, not obviously missing persons report.
Right.
But like you're a good looking member of the Beatles who are gaining in popularity and you're in the red light district and you're just like doing drugs and having sex with women. And maybe you don't think playing in the cellar of like the boom boom room is the most important thing to you at that moment.
Right.
Because you're like 20.
Right.
And you're surrounded by all these,
right.
Distractions.
It just wasn't meant to be.
Right.
Tools.
And then they talk a lot about how.
Oh wait, actually, Mike, before we go further, we should jump into the ads.
Okay.
Let's jump into the ads and then we'll get back in. But I fucking love the Beatles.
Lest we forget.
I love the Beatles. All right, guys, let's do some ads, huh?
Do you have any really inspiring royalty-free music to play during the ads, Steve?
I can look, but it might just have to come from within our hearts. Or maybe it'll come from in our minds, where we create things like websites. But how do we do that? Well, we use things like Squarespace. And that's it. Guys, Mike Falzone has a Squarespace website, and why is that? Because it's easy. There's 24/7 support. 24 days, 7 days, 24 years. 24 days a year.
That's all 100% correct.
No, you can call up someone at Squarespace any time of the day for any kind of question about your site, if you're having issues or what have you. And it's just an amazing place to set up your, maybe your e-commerce place, or you want to show off your art, or you want to write every day in a web blog or something.
Dude, maybe you do all of those things and you're sick of telling people to go a million different places to find all of it.
That's right.
You set up a website and all of a sudden you got a one-stop shop and you say, this is it. There's where you find everything I do.
That's right. And where's the easiest place to do that? Squarespace. Because there's world-class design. Everything will look beautiful and modern and great because it has everything you need, all of these wonderful templates that you just drag and drop. Everything's kind of drag and drop and just tap, and it's very easy. And it's mobile optimized, so you can do it all on your phone too. Come on, guys, it's a no-brainer. I mean, need we say more? Go to squarespace.com/banter for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, you can use the offer code BANTER to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/banter for your free trial. When you're ready to launch, you can use the offer code BANTER to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace. Squarespace. Squarespace.
Wrong band.
Guys, you heard of features?
Yes. Those are sock, the sock people. Right?
Super comfy, super formed to your foot socks. And man, you don't think about socks really unless you do. And if you do, and you're not thinking about features, then you're making a big mistake. Wow, this music's getting my blood pressure going.
You ever put on socks and they maybe feel wrong, or they feel like maybe they used to be good at some point and now they're just like kind of dish rags you are putting on your feet? You can get rid of all that with feature socks that feel like they were constructed in a laboratory to form fit your left and right foot specifically. Do you want socks that don't slip down when you're at a hard day's work, a hard day's night? Mm-hmm. I think you do, because I do as well. Steve?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And Mike, it's funny that you mentioned the engineering, because Features is solely focused on engineering innovative high-performance socks for almost 20 years. They've created a sock with a custom-like fit to prevent the issues with conventional socks. such as bunching, slipping, friction, and blisters. Say goodbye to all of that with features. There's multiple cushion levels from ultra light to max cushioning for unsurpassed performance. Guys, I love slipping on some features and then putting on my walking shoes and taking a walk around the block, and it really feels like I'm treating my feet well. Like
I've seen Steve walk around the block without shoes and just the socks.
Yeah, I have, because I was testing it out, the quality, and I was testing it out if the cushion was right for me. And it certainly was. And features had everything I needed in a sock. And there's targeted compression. The sock hugs your foot, so it keeps the sock in place. It don't slip around like other socks. Come on, guys.
What are you're putting, what you're putting on your feet right now with the slipping socks slipping all around? You can't keep track of them? The Pete Best of socks.
That's right.
You want to put on the George Harrison of socks. The socks that you know are going to be there for you throughout your journey.
Yes. So
why
don't you see why Features has quickly become the #1 running sock in America? For listeners of Dynamic Banter, that's this show, you can receive $10 off your first pair of Features by going to features.com and using the code DYNAMIC. That's $10 off your first pair when you go to FEETURES.com and enter the promo code DYNAMIC at checkout. Thanks, Features. Thanks, Features.
Tanks, featers.
Guys, let's talk about honey super fast. I love honey. I love saving money. I love things that rhyme with honey and money. And that's what this is. And listen, we all shop online. We're all guilty of it. And we've all seen that dang promo code field that's just taunting us. You don't have a code.
It does sound like that.
But thanks to honey,
your ear real close.
It does, and I hate it. But thanks to honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart auto-magically. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online that range from sites that have tech and gaming products to popular fashion brands and even food delivery. Don't tell SAG. Guys, imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button drops down, and all you gotta do is click Apply Coupons. You wait a few seconds as Honey searches for the coupon, and you watch the prices drop. Mike, have you used Honey recently to save money?
Yeah, man. It's like having a friend who always carries a big purse with them, filled with coupons for whatever you could ever want.
I mean, I don't want to I don't want to misrepresent Honey and their age or gender, but it's like a Nana with a big old bag of coupons, just like you said.
They should have called it Nana.
Nana. We'll talk to him. So guys, it's not called Nana, it's called Honey, and it's found over 17 million members, over $2 billion in savings. That's so much money. So why don't you join Mike and I and the many, many, many others that are using Honey and save some dang money while you order stuff online, all right? So if you don't already have it, you could be straight out missing up on those free savings, you kids. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you're doing yourself a solid and you're supporting this podcast. How great is that? So why don't you get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/banter. That's joinhoney.com/banter.
Great job.
Thank you, Honey.
Thank you. And thank you to all our sponsors, and thank you for your patience listening to us talk about all of our sponsors.
Sean's chin.
Happy wedding anniversary.
All right. Thank you to our
dude, you know what I love about this? We're halfway through the first page of notes.
I love it. I love it. Dude, I feel like we could really, really talk a lot about the Beatles. Like, I love that we're going through, your kind of collected notes of of their history, and I love that there's so much to talk about in every instance of Beatle history. Why is it so interesting?
I don't know, man, because, just like somebody like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, it's like when you're regarded as like at least for a time, if not forever, the greatest band in history, which is debatable. You like whoever you want. Don't ever come at me with your opinions because I don't care. But when you're widely regarded as one of the greatest bands in human history, it makes it very interesting to look back and see, like, what were they doing? What was I doing at 18 when these guys were playing the red light district in Hamburg?
Right. Right.
And you look back and forth and you're like, I could have been that productive.
I mean,
it's just really interesting to see how anyone who makes a huge impact on anything, somebody who invents something, a civil rights leader, a famous actor,
a scientist,
comedian, a scientist, whatever. It's interesting to see where they were at all different points in their career.
Yeah, and the music is so good consistently throughout their entire career. I mean, there's some interest. I mean, the early stuff is what it is, and a lot of people shit on the early stuff, but it's a time caplet of the days of happiness and holding hands and girls and things like that when they would sing about shit like that. But they're so consistently good that you're like, man, how the fuck can one band, how can 4 people be so consistently good, and the music is so fucking good? It makes you want to just like dive in and be like, all right, how did you guys do this? Yeah.
Perfect transition to one of the things I left out about the early part of our conversation, and the thing that blew me away and kind of answers the question of like, how do such young guys get so good so fast?
Yeah.
Sometimes in these red light districts, they're playing for up to 8 hours a day. Isn't that insane? Usually, dude, when like every night, not to compare myself to the Beatles, I'm just saying in today's whatever, if you're doing something every night, if you're a comedian at the top of your game doing it every night, unless you're on the road, when you're like working in LA, for example, you're doing at most 15 minutes every night. That's a lot. Usually a couple times a night if you can, but one spot equals 15 minutes. Usually, like, I'll go around, I'll do 1 or 2 8 to 10 to 15 minute spots.
Yeah.
Bands, especially when you're opening band status, that's 15, 20 minutes to half an hour. Like, very rarely, unless you have your own audience and you're going around, do you play for like an hour plus a night.
Right.
And these guys are, I had a gig as a musician where I used to sit in the corner of a deli and play for like the lunch break into the dinner rush.
Yeah.
Usually for mostly no one, just background music for like hours at a time.
Yeah.
And here are these guys playing this like skiffle, I've got blood on me fingers music for 8 hours at a time.
I mean, I didn't do anything nearly as intensive as touring like you did in your life, but I was in a cover bar band with Owen and my friend Isaiah, and we played every Tuesday night for like 2 hours. And that was it. Like, and I was exhausted doing that. And it was just like cover songs to a bar crowd. And the bar crowds usually love that because they're getting drunk and shit. And when you're putting in the energy that me and the boys were putting into that, it was like a good time. But like, it was exhausting as fuck. I can't even imagine.
And were you guys practicing on top of that too?
I mean, yeah. We were like, we had 6 songs that we had down like perfectly. And then every once in a while, one of the guys would come in with a song, and then I couldn't play the guitar very well. I was just the singer. So I would do like the 4 chords on the guitar sometimes. Right. But yeah, I mean, we practice sometimes, but man, these guys made it their life. And that's why they that's why they fucking blew the fuck up.
I remember being in bar cover bands with like really good musicians, but I was not towards the top. I was like middle to lower tier musician. And at the bar when everybody's getting drunk, people come up to you and request songs all the time.
Yeah.
And the drummer is always like, fuck yeah, let's do it. 2, 3. And everyone with instruments is like, Chris, I don't know this. I know the chorus and the first line of the song lyrically, like everyone in this bar does.
Like, just palm mute the fucking B chord, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just keep it going, buddy.
Dude, so let's go to 1963 is when She Loves You come out.
Right.
They have not been to the U.S. by this point, but this is the era of the Beatles where they're in their suits. You know, they have their look at this point.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting part of the documentary where Paul was talking about the suit, and he's like, we put on the suits, and finally you put on your Beatle boots and you comb your hair, and there we were. You know? And I had a very specific I had this band, we put out this one EP, but it was called Mike Falzone and the Peppermint Trick. And it was our last ditch effort as like going at it as a band and trying to be smart about the business thing and try to like not spin our wheels and whatever.
Right.
And we loved the dressing alike thing. We went to Express for Men in the mall.
Right.
And we got black dress pants and we got these tight, like very bright button down things and these skinny ties.
So you wanted a look. You wanted to go for your look.
We spent so much time being in a band where you just wear your shitty t-shirt and your baggy jeans and you look like every other fucking band on the bill and no one takes you seriously unless you're phenomenal. And we weren't phenomenal, but we had a lot of fun and we had a couple bangers.
Yeah, that's the point. Having a lot of fun really resonates if you're not the best.
But people, you know, you're on a show with like 5 different bands, you know? You show up and you're looking at all the bands, and as an audience member, you're probably here for somebody else's band or one of your friends, and you don't give a fuck about, like, as an audience member, you're always talking about like, well, you guys did better than the opening band, or who are those first 2 bands or whatever.
Right.
And they're making, you know, stand up or music. As soon as you hop on the stage, they're making a judgment based on how all you guys look.
Right.
You know, that's just the way, that's human nature.
Right.
So when you finally get old enough to realize that and want to use that to your advantage, and we got on stage, we're all like in pretty good shape and we're like dressed not the same, but similarly, and we all look really good. People were like, oh, these guys at least care.
Yeah.
And in their mind, they're like, I bet these guys practice. If they all go to the mall and get shit and try on clothes and buy shit in their size, being 22-year-old guys,
then they
I
care.
bet you anything they practice.
That's so funny. You're right. It's so funny to be able to nail who practices.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Because it could go either way, dude. If you show up and you're in a fine band, but you have an off night, like you have a bad show, but you show up and you're like in your own shitty wrestling t-shirts and like
right.
you know your jeans smell because you've been sitting in the same position in a van for 6 hours. Like you could be a good band, but people see you and they make judgments upon how you're, you know, how you look.
Yeah, I mean, we in Ventura, we would play in Ventura, and there were thrift stores all over that like stretch of like the boulevard, Main Street, I guess it's called, and we would just go to the thrift stores and look for weird shit to wear, and like every once in a while we would be like wizards. We'd all be dressed like wizards, and then we'd be like, come on, Eileen. We didn't add wizard shit into it. We were just dressed like wizards to all these drug people and shit.
Yeah, it's very nice. And they'll remember you forever. I bet you anything people got together at Christmas from your area, and they were like, you remember that fucking, what was the name of that band we used to go see? Jack Black was the singer, and they dressed like wizards.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember the Peppermint Trick was in a battle of the bands once at the Space in Hamden, Connecticut. And for the last round, we said that it was prom. And if you were there for us, you come like in your prom shit. We all went to Goodwill and we all bought dresses.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
And it was just the best. And like you think about that time and like what worries do you have at that time if that's like the thing you do on Friday?
If I want my own car, I need to get a job. Like that's what my worry was at that time.
Yeah. So they're doing the shit and they, you know, they're out of the red light district and they're starting to be real put together. And this is where John like emerges as the leader of this band. And all the guys in the band, the other 3 guys really did look at him. You know, this documentary goes into detail about how specifically they saw him as the leader. And, you know, they had this, it was John's band at that time, you know?
Right.
And they had this thing, this really cute Beatles call and answer where he would go, "Where are we going, boys?"
Oh,
And all the Beatles would go, "To the top, Johnny." Right? So they all knew, aside from just like that whole buttoned up suit thing, we wanted to be the guys who looked like we had our shit together and we practiced.
Yeah.
And they were those guys, and they knew that, like, I don't know, it's just like the suit thing and the hair thing, it all matched up with the drive that they put into being better than everybody else.
Right.
It was like, if we're going to be better than everybody else, we have to act like this and we have to look like this. And then they did that.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the whole thing, right? Like, everybody talks about, like, what's the secret to, like, becoming the greatest band, or like, what's the secret to becoming like a famous actor or whatever. And it's like, it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like equal parts, genetics and work ethic. It's like, if you know, in a lot of ways, it's like, if you're trying to be like the best band ever, like, you have to be ready to like work your fucking ass off, and then at the flip of a switch be like, all right guys, we're tired and shit sucks, but we're gonna go to the top, let's go. And then you go out on stage and you go, she loves you, yeah. And it's like, dude, if you love that, then that comes through, and then everybody's like in love, you know, and that's like the magic of those boys.
Yeah. And you combine that, like, at a young age, that drive to be the best.
Yeah.
And then the practice to be the best. And you combine that with, you know, I have a note here about a reporter that came up to them when they were, you know, the very beginnings of Beatlemania. And they're like, why do they scream? They're talking about the audience. It's like, why do you guys think they scream? And Paul or John is like, I don't know, we just shake our heads and they scream.
Yeah.
And what I think that is, it's like, it's part the universal appeal to playing to teenagers.
Yeah.
Who have had, up until a certain point, their life regimented, like you're in school, you know, and you live in your parents' house, and
everything's very proper and buttoned up.
And you're fucking proper and buttoned up is the perfect way to put it. And everything, especially over in England, it's like everything's super, you know, everything kind of is how it is. And you're going through, you know, puberty and all the scientific, physical things that happen to you and your chemicals inside. And you're coming out of this, you're like the older kids coming out of this prim and proper, you're discovering that you could also start to form your set, and you could like what you like.
Yeah.
And begin to differentiate and break off from everything you were kind of raised to be, you know?
Right.
And then you're the Beatles, and you're singing at the top of your lungs in these like sweaty clubs, and you're like showing emotion, like physical emotion by shaking your little head. And you're sweating and you're screaming about holding girls' hands and making them dance.
And you're wearing tight pants and like, you know,
and just skinny ties.
And if you've got those Paul McCartney eyes, and you've got you know, he was such a dreamy, sleepy boy, and
Paul McCartney always looked like he was sad that he had just been separated from his friends.
I just want to be in love. And it's like, when he's all like, I just want to be in love, like all the girls are like, I want to be in love. And I think that's like where it connected so strong, was that they were singing about love, and all of these like buttoned up pomp and circumstance like girls were like, I want to talk about love, and everybody's like, shut the fuck up, you got work to do. And it's like, no, these guys want to talk about love, and they're cute and sleepy.
I'm sleepy.
I'm so sleepy, I might lay my head on a pillow.
And then Ringo's just here to have a good time, just happy to be here.
Yeah, I think they really tapped into like singing about love. Because, I mean, if you really listen to a lot of those early Beatles songs, they're so fucking lovey-dovey, dude. It's so like, I want to be a friend It's like, I want to read books with you.
I want to have a conversation with you.
It's like if you could create a band right now that was made up of like little Justin Biebers and they all sung about wokeness and like correct pronouns and like a bunch of like stuff like that, I feel like they would blow the fuck up. Like I think it's that's connecting to the zeitgeist.
It's connecting to the zeitgeist, but it's also connecting to the age group that thinks like that.
Right.
You know, when you're like fucking a younger teenager, and like I think about all the songs that I wrote at that time were all about like, why don't I have a girlfriend?
Right.
That's it.
Right.
You know, before I even knew about any kind of social issues, I was like, why don't I specifically have a girlfriend?
Right. Yeah.
And it was a breath.
Right. And whenever I attempted to write like a song, it would always start there. Like why don't I have a girlfriend? I want a girlfriend. And it's so inherently in your like teenage soul. And the Beatles are like, you know, you could get a girlfriend if you look sleepy and you sing songs.
But imagine having those thoughts with like 3 of the best musicians you know. And like, this is how we can come together to transmit those thoughts exactly to who wants to hear them in the best way possible.
Right.
And that was the Beatles for a long time.
So listen, we're at
Let's
the
cut it
hour.
off there.
Yeah, we're at the hour mark. So we should wrap it up. But we hope you guys are enjoying us gush about the Beatles. And I really love that, like, you know, in the early days of Dynamic Banter, I would like pull up all these Wikipedia articles and be like, Mike, here's the history of like this. And I love that we've kind of switched roles a little bit here. And you're the one with like your notes and your history and stuff. I'm liking it, Mike. It's a good,
dude, I had such a great time. You give me something I'm interested in and I'll work on it all day, but ask me to pass fucking high school algebra and I'll tell you to eat dicks through a stick.
Exactly.
Do you want to do One History Road just to stay consistent and be out?
I would love to. Actually, yeah, let's do it. Let's do One History Road.
Maybe we can find a short one.
I got like a hard drive is gonna be full message a second ago.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just do a quick one and then, you know, I'll clean out my hard drive.
Hurry it up.
Let's speed it up.
Let's get him.
History
All right, Ozzy.
Okay, we got a quick history road from Thomas Gentle. Don't look quick, but I'll get through it as quick as I can. Thomas Gentile or Tom Gentile. Hello, boy and Mike. My name is Thomas Gentile, but you can call me Thomas Genitals. I've been trying to get this email on the show for quite some time. I'm a 19-year-old boy from central New York, and I have a tale of an old personal attempt at a funny little dynamic quip. 2 years ago, I was in high school, and 3 of my friends and I were volunteering at one of my school's fine arts solo festivals, humble brag, and my friend Cole brought his girlfriend of almost 3 years to talk with us for a few minutes. They were talking about our good friend / bad friend James, not present, for several seconds until Cole turned to me and asked, "What's James' sister's name?" It's on the tip of my tongue, but I just can't think of it. After a state of confusion, I blurted out the answer, Jill. Cole then proceeded to throw out the perfect bait as he said, "Oh yeah, James and Jill." In which I replied, "James and Jill is my favorite Adam Sandler movie." To my surprise, I had succeeded, and everyone at our volunteer booth laughed. That's nice. Everyone except Cole's girlfriend, whose face drooped, and once the laughter died down, said, "I'm uncomfortable now."
And that's just, it just goes to show you some people are just never going to get
it. They broke up a week later.
Yeah.
Is what Thomas says. And he says, "Thanks for all the years of tears of laughter. I tried to show my high school friends the ET and Address video and not a single laugh. I know Mike's response to this will probably be, those aren't your friends. And to that, you'd be right. I've got new friends now, except for Cole. Cole's still here. Cole's cool. Nonetheless, no two people can make me laugh nearly as much as you guys. Mary, Banter, Thomas.
It's a goddamn honor, Thomas. Thank you for being
Thomas.
here. And we'll be here with you next week. Do you want to do more Beatles stuff next week? How you wanna work this?
Yeah, let's...
All right,
let's...
well, we'll be back next week with fucking 1964.
And...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. We're going into 64.
Well, 1964, which is when the Beatles come to America for the first time. So we'll get the tail end of them.
Nice.
Over there in Englishtown. They come over to America. Bunch of fun celebrities show up in that documentary. Dude, documentary stuff aside, you writing stuff down, that whole thing makes me real happy. Because I know that it makes me puts my mind at ease. It did this morning, dude. I woke up with all these feelings and I wrote, so it's almost like we were writing at the same time.
I love that, Mike. I really have to stick to it. I need to stick to it.
I'm going to come drop you off a notebook.
Please. I would love that. Dude, I love that. Things are serendipitous in these uncertain times, and I like that. And skewing things in the positive is always a good thing. I want to leave the audience with this. Since we're doing these Beatles episodes, it would be awesome if you guys have some Beatles-centric history roads. Yeah. Like, do you have a relative that saw the Beatles and they told you all about it? Or what's your Beatles story? I'm sure there's all sorts of shit out there. Did you guys meet Paul McCartney? Whatever you got, we would love it in the history roads. So please send those to dynamicbanter@gmail.com, and hopefully we'll get to those, because that would be really fun to get your guys' Beatles stories too. Yeah.
And if you kind of want to watch what has guided these notes and kind of go along with it at the same time, it's on Hulu, 8 days a week, the Ron Howard Beatles documentary about their 20 years.
Not sponsored. All right, thanks everybody for listening to the show, and we'll catch you next time on...
That was a hit song.